What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Leo coming to you guys with yet another video. Coming to you guys with yet another horror video. Today, I will be doing a review for the 2001 edition of Jeepers Creepers. It's been almost 22 years. No, I think it's been exactly 20 years since we've got the first movie. And we're getting a new movie for it, I think, on the 19th of this month, if I'm not mistaken. But I definitely am interested in checking that movie out. I will have a review for that video probably the day after the movie comes out, so be on the lookout for that. But I'm gonna be giving you guys my Jeepers Creepers 1 review, and then I'll probably do Jeepers Creepers 2 review probably next week, and then probably do the third one the week after or whatever. I'm still skeptical if I'm gonna do the third one, to be honest with you guys, but I know for a fact I will be doing 1 and 2. So today I'll be doing Jeepers Creepers 1. So let's get into it. So the movie opened up and we're introduced to two characters, Derry and Trish. Who are brothers and sisters. They're going on a road trip, I guess, to go see their mother or grandmother, I believe, and they're playing like this little game, like trying to looking at license plates and then like try to see who can get it first, and then um, Derry tries to guess it and then he gets it wrong, and then they have a little discussion why Trish is coming home with Derry instead of going with her boyfriend, and she has a little whole dialogue with that. Then they Derry starts to poke fun at her again, and then we hear a huge noise from a truck coming out of the distance from behind them and trying to run off them off the road. They're going at it. They're in panic mode because they're trying to figure out like what is he doing? Why is he trying to run them off the road? Is this some like road rage type of scenario? Um, and then it keeps going for probably like about a minute or so, and then whoever it is just calls off whatever he's doing and then goes on about his day, and then Derry just starts screaming and like he enraged, like what did he just see? And like they just continue to go on, and then I guess they just stop for like a bathroom break, and then they continue and stuff like that. Then we see the guy that ran off the rope, and he was throwing bodies wrapped and roped in a sheet with red stains on it in a drain pipe at an abandoned church as they look at him, and they're trying to figure out like what is he doing, and like at this point they still think it's probably a human, but that's clearly not going to be the case when the movie goes on. But they continue to try to call for help or call the police to let them know what they're witnessing right now. But before they even get a chance to do that, the creeper, well, I already pretty spoiled it. A guy um, look is on his way to get back at them again and try to chase them down again, and the guy in the truck is going full speed, and literally the Derry and Trish are in their car going full speed, and the guy that's in the truck is going probably 10 times more speed than they are, and just goes like he's in a Fast and Furious movie, and he literally just rams into their vehicle, to their car. I think it's like a 1960 Impala, I believe. I'm not too knowledgeable about cars, but I think that's a 1960 Impala. But he keeps ramming into their car, and then Darius trying to steer the wheel to keep going straight on the road so he doesn't flip the car over or anything, or just put himself or his sister in harm's way. So he's trying to stay steady on the road, and the guy in the truck just keeps ramming into him until finally they go through like a fence, and we all think that, oh, the guy is probably gonna try to keep going after them, but no, he kept going. He kept going, and now while they're trying to repair their car, we have another dialogue between Derry and Trish, and Derry's like, we should go back. If there's anybody that's still alive in there, we should go back. And Trish is being the voice of reason. She was like, why would you do that? It's always that one person that wants to make a stupid mistake, and then everybody hates them for it. Then that was it. That was that moment right there. But it's one of those things like that happen in movies, like where it happens. But that's neither here nor there. But back to the movie. So Derry also makes a bold claim to Trish, and he says, "What if it was you back there?" And then she says, "Well, if you're going back, I'm not getting out the car." And Derry just says straight up, "You don't have to." So they return to the church, and they look at the pipe, and they get out, and I'm like, Trish is getting out for whatever reason, and then Darius looks down to see if he can see anything, and you can see a little light down there, and Darius screaming down the drain pipe, and he hears nothing. But as soon as he walks away, you hear like a yell coming from at the bottom of the sewer. So that proceeds to have Darius come back and then try to investigate what's going on at this point. And then Darius screams at Trish like, "Hold my feet while I can get a little way in." And then when he's trying to get a little deeper in the hole of the drain pipe, and then rats started coming at him, and then that proceeds a whole panic between the two, and Trish lets him go, and he slides down the drain pipe and into the cell of that abandoned church. Now he's at the bottom hole, and he's trying to figure out there's a way out, and as that goes on, Trish waits at the car for Derry to come out while he investigates to see if there's anything going on, and he finds the body that was dumped down there, and he lets Trish know, "Oh, we found the body." So, I think at this very moment, then the body is trying to grab Derry's foot, and then he says you can't hear what he's exactly saying, but if you hear very closely, he says hide, and you see he is stitched from his torso down. So whatever it is, I guess the guy cut him open and then wrapped him up with a rope, stitched him up with a rope, and then you have Derry looking in very fear mode at that point. He is very fearful at the point because what he's seeing, and after that, he goes deeper into the church to explore, and he finds even more bodies. So it wasn't even just that one body. There was like dozens more bodies that he's seen that was on the floors and even on the wall and ceiling of that abandoned church. Eventually, he gets close to the end of the church, and he finds the two people that they were talking about early in the movie, Kenny and Darla, and they were saying they disappeared on that road that they were on, so nobody knew what happened. But it was a crazy thing to see for Darrington. He knew who that was because he saw the ring and everything, and it looks like Darla got her head chopped off and then stitched back up, and he saw both of them on that road, and then he eventually finds his way out. But as we zoom back to Trish, what she looks like she sees is the truck that's been chasing him, and she tries to get that car started, but it would not budge. And then eventually, when the truck gets close to them, she notices that's not the truck, and it was just a random truck with hay on it, pretty much. And then Derry just comes back in out of nowhere and scares Trish out of her boots, literally. And you can tell by the look on his face, he done seen something. He is fearful. He is not talking. And while they're on the way to, after they left the church, she's trying to get any answer she can out of Derry, but Derry would not budge for like a good minute or two. And he finally says something. He talks about Darla, and she said, "You know what he did? He sewed it right back on." And you couldn't really hear anything to him because he wasn't like talking loudly. But in the deleted scene, he was kind of talking a little bit more loudly. But in this scene, he was very well talking very lightly to where you can't hear him. But if you listen closely, you can. But he was talking about Darla like, "Oh, you know he did for her. He sewed it right back on." And then you do like a little transition, and they're approaching a gas station. So they were going to get gas to continue their road to their mother and whatnot. So then once they get out, because, he's been through a sewer, so Trish tells him, "You got to clean up a little bit before we continue going." But as soon as they close their doors, out of nowhere, going full speed, is the truck that ran him off the road. Looked like he's heading back to the church again. So then they run into the gas station and trying to tell somebody, call the police, please call the police or something after what they've seen to help them out. And everybody's just looking at them weird, like, who are these guys? Like, who, like, or whatever. It's like, the way they set up is like this town is very creepy because no one really cared except for like one of the waitresses that was in the diner slash gas station. So she obliges and calls the police, and while they do that, they get a phone call, and they're hesitant to pick up the phone, but someone just says, a guy that was there just says, "Are you gonna get that?" And my first instinct, like, why would somebody be calling me? Why would I be picking up the phone? Isn't that y'all's duty to do that or whatever? But Trish picks up the phone, and a lady on the other end says, "Have you seen the cats yet?" And she's automatically like, what, huh? And then she repeats, "You and your brother, you and then and Trish is like trying to figure out like, what is this lady talking about? Me and my brother." And then she literally says, "You and Derry, I saw you with a bunch of cats." And Trish proceeds like, "Who is this, and how do you know Derry?" And then Derry just snatches the phone like, "Who is this?" And then the lady says, "Derry, you know the cats I'm talking about?" And if she knows what's going on, so you could tell she's psychic because or whatever, because the way she's talking to Derry, I seen, you got a bloody hand, and your shirt's torn with a small tattoo above your stomach. And Darius like spooked out, like, how does she know this? And then he tries to proceed to run away with the phone again, and he gets snatched right back. And then she says, "I don't know if it's a demon or a devil or something hungry from a dark place and time." And Darius like, "I don't know what this lady's talking about." And she's telling him if they hear a song that the lady's playing from on her end of the phone, and she's telling both of them, specifically Derry, if you hear that song, you run. And she says, "I mean run," because that song means something terrible for you. So you can already kind of plant the seed that something's going to probably happen to one of the two, particularly Derry. But we don't know that just yet. We haven't been introduced. We still think that this guy is just like a normal human that's just like some crazy guy or whatever. But the police get there, and Derry's trying to give them his side of the story, and the cops are kind of not believing it. Like, they just straight up said, "Well, this is a big story you land on us here." And then one of the ladies that's at the diner, she comes back in, and she says their car's been ransacked, and their clothes are all outside the car. And she tells both of them somebody was standing at their car sniffing their laundry, and that sounds very weird and creepy. But then um he goes back. Derry goes to the car, and he has his name on his underwear for whatever reason. I guess to keep his, I guess whatever happens to him, they wanted at least his name to be still there or whatever. But then they see Derry sees a handprint, and that brings the cops over to look at the handprint. And then I guess Trish looks up. I guess she heard something. I don't know what she saw. I wish they kind of showed that. I'm pretty sure it was whoever it was. But then they get a police escort out of town. They get a police escort out of town, and Derry and Trish are just joking around about the diner and stuff like that. And then when one of the waitresses looked like a stripper glam cop, pretty much. And then they try to turn on some radio to lift the spirits up a little bit, but Derry gets caught off by a song, the Jeepers Creepers song that the lady was playing for them over the phone, and he instantly knew what was going on. He knew, and she basically told him, if that song is playing, that means whoever that guy is near them, and they need to go real fast. So this what happens. So they hear the song, and the police are talking to one of their fellow officers, and he's telling them that at the church is burning down. So that means whoever that guy is must have knew somebody was on his trail, and he burnt down the evidence so nobody would be on his trail, so he could keep this mystique about himself, which I think some people need to do when it comes to horror movies, but that's neither here nor there. But they said that dust that they found on that car was dead skin, and the cop is very intrigued. I don't know if he was intrigued or he was very perplexed by what he just heard. And then you hear like a boom on top of their car, and while Derry and Trish are arguing about Derry's trailing Trish, that's the song. In the back, you see somebody standing on top of their car, and then the officer tells the lady officer basically, "Well, it sound like the sky is falling. Hold on." And then the lady looks up on top of the car, and somebody's standing, and she gets picked and dragged out of the car, and somebody just whoever that guy just punches a hole through the car, and then basically has a machete in his head and cuts the guy's head off. Then he throws it over like where in front of Trish's and Derry's car, and then it kind of leads to like a stoppage between both cars, and both of them are under the impression that the officers are still in there, which is not the case. Trish just says, "Is anybody okay in there?" While Trish goes up to see if everything's okay, Derry is still at the car, and he looks on top of the car, and he notices that there's blood on top of the car, and he touches it to make sure, and it is indeed blood. Then Derry knew something not right then and there, and he tells Trish, "Come back and get in the car." And Trish goes a little further, and she sees the cop's head right in front of the car, and she notices that's not any of the officers, and somebody is out getting out of the car, and while they're inside, they go run back and get in their car, and some guy gets out of the car and whistling, which is the song that they were hearing earlier, and he picks up the head and starts sniffing it in some weird manner, and then he proceeds to what it looks like he was kissing the head, but apparently no, he was getting, I don't know what that scene was. It was very creepy. I can't show that because I'm not trying to get demonetized, so I'm probably not going to show any of the clips, so I'm sorry, you guys. But he looked like he was, I guess, taking his tongue out, I guess, of the officer's head or whatever, and you knew that was kind of weird right then and there. So they drive off full speed until they can get away as far as they can, and basically when they get as far as they can, Derry tells Trish, "Slow down," and she does, but she stops, and you see a house, and Derry's like, "What are you doing?" He said, "Slow down," and then she was like, "You want to see if they have a phone?" And Derry's like, "Why don't we just go somewhere else?" And then Trish is making her point, like, it might be a long way before they find another town, so they go in, try to see if this lady has a phone, and this old lady answers the door like, "What do you guys want?" And she says a phone, and Trish lets her know that a police has been killed, and then the lady is probably perplexed. She doesn't want any attention from the police because they kind of give her bad rep because of how many cats she can have. So they have that whole dialogue there, and then what happens is while they're talking and everything, then when you hear like I forgot what they call it, I think it was some when it's like it's on the tip of my tongue. It's on the tip of my tongue. Wind turbines, I think that's what they call them. Wind turbines. But basically the lady talks to Derry and Trish again. She says, "Did you guys bring anybody else with you?" And Derry is already looking like, "Huh?" And then both look over, and out there in the field somewhere, you see the guy again. And she tells she whispers to her cat. That was kind of funny. "That's not my scarecrow." And then she comes out with this big, like, double barrel shotgun. Literally. This double shotgun. And she says, "You have 10 seconds to get off my yard. And don't think I'm going to tell you twice." And he stands there like, he's standing his guard up. He's just standing there. And then Trisha says, "Get away from him. Get away from him." And he starts to charge. The lady shoots, and you look like something happened. But no, he flew or jumped or leaped on to her house, into her house. And then you hear a bunch of cats going crazy, making noises. And then Derry's trying to get the lady to come with them, and she is not having it. She hits this guy in the nuts with the handle on the shotgun, and you know that hurts. So the lady is not going with them. She goes back in to stand her ground, and you hear 2 shots ring out, and it looks like she's done something. But when you look back in, she's just standing there. She's not moving or anything. And as you get closer, somebody's behind her, and it looks like he's propping up like a ventriloquist dummy. And we finally get to see who this guy is, and he is ugly. This guy looks like yeah, if you ever seen Wishmaster, you kind of know what I'm talking about. It looks something like that, and the Green Goblin, pretty much. But then you see at his teeth, there's like razor sharp. He looks like he has rolls on his face and everything like that. And they're like very frightened by what they're looking at, and they run back to their car. And while they're trying to get it to go, the guy jumps on top of their car, and then Trish tells Derek it can only go reverse, and Derek's telling him, well, just go put in reverse, and they go in reverse, and then like they try to stop it and they try to run him over, and it goes on where he keeps leaping over their car, but like for like a good minute or two until they finally get to run him over, and they keep going, and then Derek tells Trish, do you think it's dead? And Trish makes a valid point. She must watch some horror movies because they never are. So she tries to go and run him over as many times as she can until Derry decides to say, stop, that's enough. Me personally, I probably would have kept going, but that's neither here nor there. But back into the movie. So, once they stop, it looks like he's moving just a little bit, and out of nowhere, you see a big wing pop out of where his arm is, and you knew right then and there that is not a human. Even when they looked at him, that's not a human. I guess he was disguising himself this entire time. But so when you get back into the movie, the wing is still out, and he's trying to fly off. It looks apparently, and then Derek is just stuck in like a weird phase. Like he's just so scared and frightened of what he's looking at. He can't even come to terms to say a word. And Trish is like saying, how far? She tells Derek this car's not gonna go that much further, and then Derek just says far enough, and then they run him over, and then it proceeds to do a transition into where they're at the police station. It looks like Trish is talking to her mom, and the cops are bringing some other guy in, and then while they're waiting for their parents to come pick them up or whatever, then we introduced to the woman that was on the phone, who is now known as Giselle Hartman. And she knows who they are. I don't know if she knew who they were, but I guess she knew their names or whatever. I guess she dreams it because we kind of go in the exposition and the explanation about who Giselle is, kind of, and she kind of says like, then they finally figure out like, you're the woman that called us, and then now both Trish, well, not Trish, she's just telling Derek, get away from her. We don't need to talk to this girl. This woman's crazy. She doesn't know what she's talking about. But Derek, he's so shocked and scared, he doesn't even know what to do. So Giselle tells Derek, like literally, what this guy is and what he wants and how he moves and everything like that, giving them a little backstory. And we are introduced. This guy is born is every 23rd spring for 23 days. It gets to eat. And he's like, it eats. And she's kind of frightened too because you know what it eats and don't make me tell you. She doesn't like to have to know all this and not knowing why she knows it and stuff like that. And then Derek says it eats. And she says, yeah, only certain things from certain people. And she says it eats lungs so it can breathe and eyes so it can see. So then she says, whatever it eats, it becomes a part of it. And now they're both trying to figure out like what they need to do now. And then the lights go out, and then they're trying to figure out like what's going on. Like then they thought they knew it was back when she's telling them what's going on the outside. You see the creeper pulling back up in his truck, but he's limping because of all the damage that it took when he got ran over. So now, while she's telling them all this, the lights go out, and then I guess one of the other officers are doing like some type of police search down where they keep like the cellmates and stuff like that, and he come across two of the people that's in one of the jail cells, and they're frightened, and he proceeds to go to the next cell, and it looks like somebody's in that cell, and it's the guy. Looks like he's eating one of the inmates. I wasn't too sure what he was eating. Was he eating like an arm? I think it was a arm or one of his legs, I believe. And the cop is like stuck there for like a good few seconds until he takes out his gun to start shooting, which he had bad aim because he didn't aim for anything. And then looked like the creeper got hold of him. And once they do a transition back to the people up in the front, and they were saying, we're gonna put you guys in a holding cell, and Giselle's just like, no, if he's gonna find you in here, he finds you hide in the room, and she starts singing, Jeepers Creepers, where did you get those peepers? And then she says, and Darius is like, we heard the song on the radio hours ago, and she's saying it's playing on the old phonogram. And then the officers are not gonna have it. They say, "I will lock you up, Giselle." And she's saying, like, "You guys need to get out of here now." And then, like, once everybody splits up, I guess one of the other officers find the one of the guy that was went do that search, and then they're saying like the guy tried to take a bite out of him or something, and like he what? And then this proceeds to have the cops split off to go after him, and then you have Derry, Trish, and then Giselle trying to figure out their way out, and then they get to like a whole exit, but it doesn't open for whatever reason. I guess because the emergent lights are out, so that they only have the front way to get out, and then you have the creeper finally find them, and then Giselle tells them run, 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 and then that leaves Giselle there by herself, and then it just disappeared. But then the guy comes up behind the creeper comes up behind her, and then starts to sniff. And like she said, if your fear is what gives him power, and your fear is what he feeds off of. So she basically showed no fear. So he left her alone. Then they finally got into like an interrogation room, tried to get out through the window apparently. But you see slowly where Trish goes up to this the interrogation where it's two sided, but you only can see like one way in, but you can't see the other way, or vice versa. But on the other end, you see the creeper's hand go up to the window, and then I guess I don't know if Trish felt something was there, and she started to back away, and then Derry and Trish have this slow, quiet argument, and Darius like saying, "Come on, come on, let's go, let's go, let's go," and then boom, out of nowhere, like a I don't even know what the reference him as, but he just busts in and busts up the party pretty much, and while they're backed up into a corner, the creeper just slowly just walks towards them and grabs both of them and starts to sniff both of them to see who he wants, who he's taking with him, and it looks like it's gonna be Trish for a second, but no, he just throws Trish out of the way, and then he starts to sniff Derry, and it looks like Derry's gonna probably be the one he takes, and he is. So he sniffs, and you can tell it the way his expressions and everything, the way he's sniffing his who he wants, and you see how Derry is very much showing the more fear of the two. So he's going to try to take him, and then before they have a standoff between like the police squadron and then the creeper, while he has Derry in his clutches, trying to fly off with him, and it's kind of interesting because I was kind of interested to see why did the officers not try to shoot. I guess because they didn't have a good shot, and they probably didn't want to they wanted to kill the guy, but they didn't want to kill Derry. So I guess that's probably why. Y'all comment down below. What do you guys think about that? Do you guys think that was why that they didn't shoot, or do you have any other theories? But back to the movie. I'm getting too much on topic here, but back to the movie. But then Trish tries to save her older brother. She says, "Take me, take me, take me. Put him down, put him down, put him down. You want me? I'm stronger. I won't fight you. You want me?" And it looks like the creeper is gonna oblige to her offer and drop him and take her instead. But no, he just turns around and goes out the window, flying off with Derry, and you can see. And you have and then I guess the police start to shoot after that, and then you have a transition, and where you have Trish screaming to the top of her lungs, Derry, and you can see in the mood in the sky, he's flying off with him, and then out of nowhere you don't see him anymore. He flew off with him for good, and now this leaves Trish in a devastated state because now she lost her brother, and knowing like when they first started, I'm pretty sure they did not think that they would have gotten to this position at all. But that's kind of my whole thing why some people shouldn't drive on like vacant roads like that. It's very like a red flag. But she's in the morning. It basically they do another transition in this morning time. Her Giselle comes back into the police station and says, tells Trish, "Your folks pulled up outside," and Trish is very devastated because she lost her brother, and she says, "Are your dreams true? Are your dreams ever wrong?" Derry's screaming in the dark while that song is playing, and she tries to downplay it and says, "I'm just a crazy old woman. If you ask any around here, they'll tell you." And I don't think she's crazy. She knows something, and she knew, and she predicted everything that happened. And as Trish leaves the police station, she hears like a crow flying off, and I guess the crows kind of followed the creepers. I guess that's kind of how these movies go. I think that's how they did it in the first and second one. I think well in the first, but they only did them kind of like in flashbacks. But then you have when the after you do like the transition from the last shot that you see Trish, you see one of the crows flying to this abandoned factory because the church is burnt down. So I guess he relocated to a new hideout where he stores his bodies, and it's this abandoned meat factory. And when you go in, you can hear Derry screaming very loudly to the top of his lungs, and then you hear it for like a good few seconds, and then after that, you hear the song playing, and you start to do a close up on the creeper, and it looks like he's working on something because he has this thread and he has his needle. And after that, you see like a shot like that's moving up of Derry, and it shows that it took in his Derry's eyes. So it looks like the way it killed him. It looked like it took part of his skull off and then proceeded to take his eyes from there, and it looks like he's gonna probably stitch him back together. So that was kind of the end of the movie. This is probably gonna be one of my favorite horror movies because I feel like this is kind of one of those movies where we don't really get a happy ending, and I feel like that's sometimes what some scary movies are supposed to do. It's not always supposed to have a happy ending. I think some of the scary movies like that we should watch is like it should leave you in awe, like because we kind of all rooted for Derry to make it, but that wasn't the case. The creeper wanted something in him, and he was doomed from the get go, pretty much. But yeah, that's the end of this video, you guys. That's my Jeepers Creepers 2001 review. I will be doing my Jeepers Creepers 2 review probably next week, and then from there I'll probably do the third one after that. But yeah, comment down below, what is your favorite Jeepers Creepers movie? Is it the first one? Is it the second one? I'm pretty sure there's probably not gonna be none of you that's gonna say the third one. I'll be very surprised if any one of you said the third one. But what is your favorite Jeepers Creepers? I am aware of all the things that's happening with the producer of this movie. But here's the thing: I'm the guy that kind of separates the art from the artist, and I'm not gonna let one person leave a stain on this movie because all the people who put their hard work into making this movie what it is. I'm not gonna let all their hard work and credit go to waste because of one person. I'm not gonna let one person spoil it for the many people who worked hard on making this movie what it is. So that's my whole take on that. You guys can say what you want. You're entitled to your opinion. But yeah, that is the end of this video. That's my review for Jeepers Creepers 1. I will be doing more horror reviews in the future, so I'll be on the lookout for more like that. 2 likes on this video. I'll do more videos just like this one. And I will see you guys in the next video.